Beyond E-Club.
In 1979, two batchmates from CMTI teamed up with their mentor to create a small engineering design bureau.
We could conceive machines from first principles. And that's where we got the confidence that can we start a consulting company where we do design for others. We have got an opportunity to make special machines for a company called Car Mobiles Limited. Once we started showing the exhibition, other auto component companies started coming to us. We realized that if you want to learn anything, buy the best book on the subject, study the fundamentals, and apply it in your context.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. It's been about 24 hours since voting ended in Pakistan, but results have still not been announced. With half the seats counted, it's looking like the polls are swaying in the favor of the jailed ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan. In fact, his supporters have been leading the polls. It's especially astonishing because it looks like the country is denying Pakistan's powerful military a widely expected victory for its preferred party, Nawaz Sharif-led PMLN. In fact, Nawaz Sharif has just wrapped up his speech where he acknowledged that his party does not have the numbers to form government itself. And in fact, we've been monitoring those developments very closely. And to dissect that and give us a better assessment of what really is happening on the ground, we will be joined shortly by our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik, who has been tracking all those developments. And we also have with us on the broadcast this minute Raham Khan, journalist and author with us from Lahore. Thanks very much for being here with us. I have to ask you this first. What is your reading of Nawaz Sharif's speech that concluded just a short while back? What do you think he was trying to do there?
So I think he was a little bit obviously demoralized, as you'd expect that he would be. And he mentioned our nation being zakhmi. It seemed like a bit of a zakhmi sher moment. I think he was overconfident and perhaps believed that he was a new Ladla, the new love of the establishment perhaps. And I think they got a rude shock. A lot of us had been warning them that they are falling into this familiar trap. They were very complacent. As far as PTI is concerned, they ran a virtual campaign like no other. They used every tool in the book. They used the social media, they used artificial intelligence. They used older recorded messages, and they ran a very vibrant, a very active campaign, a virtual campaign. With the absence of the two leaders, with Shah Mahmood Qureshi as well as the skipper, locked away. And I think PMLN had a very, very disappointing and a very lackluster campaign. Also started election campaigning very late. So I think that today, perhaps a moment of truth for him, and he had to realize that this was not the sort of two-third majority that he was expecting. Yesterday, he categorically stated in response to a journalist's question that he was expecting to form government without any coalition partners. In fact, he said, for God's sake, don't talk about a hung parliament. So he seemed very confident. And I think that a lot of us had been warning that this time round in 2024, the biggest party, the most influential party would be the Independents. Now, don't forget that although a lot of people are saying that they're all PTI-led or PTI-affiliated independents, that's not the case. There are other independents also, and that confuses the picture a bit more. But of course, it means that we have a lot of PTI-affiliated independents who are not really part of a proper party, so they may choose to go elsewhere. They might be swayed with the charms of Asif Ali Zardari, who, as we speak, we are hearing that he is in conversation. He has gone for a private visit to Chaudhry Shujaat, the leader of the PMLQ. So that's two more seats. And of course, these two have been playing the game for a very, very long time, and both are considered to be very, very politically savvy. Nawaz Sharif, on the other hand, I think might be able to win some of the independents over, the independents that are not affiliated with PTI. But again, Zardari might beat Nawaz Sharif to that. I do know that Pakistan People's Party's chairman and their candidate for the Prime Minister's chair, Bilal Bhutto, young blood, and I don't think that he's been saying the sort of things which Nawaz Sharif would have liked very much. I do feel that he has a far more cordial relationship with Shahbaz Sharif. So if PMLN does decide and manages to convince PPP to join hands with them and bring everyone on board, it's going to be a very, very difficult time for any Prime Minister from the Pakistan Muslim League Noon. It might be a bit easier for the Pakistan People's Party to form government in the center because through the election campaign and even before that, young Bilal Bhutto has been saying all the right things, and he has been winning the respect and getting, I suppose, the affections of PTI voters and their sympathizers because of the very woke comments that he's made. He's made some comments that have been widely appreciated. So I think perhaps for Bilal Bhutto, this might be a very, very good chance of becoming the youngest Prime Minister Pakistan has ever seen. And of course, with Zardari Saab's bargaining ability and the PTI-affiliated candidates looking a bit happier sitting with Bilal, this could be a cleaner approach. I think perhaps in the next 72 hours or so, we will find a little bit of a different offering. But of course, these are all initial speculations. So we will wait and see.
Yes, I want to come back to you, Raham, and just pick on a few pointers that you just laid out for our viewers. But before I get to that, let me also get in our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, who has been getting us the minute-by-minute developments from on the ground and has been at it. Anas, over to you. Give us a sense of where things stand as of now. What is the latest update that you have for us? What are you picking up?
Well, the latest is that about 220 seats results have been announced out of the 265 on which direct polling were held. And if you can see behind me, I'll just read it out. Out of the 220, the chart reads that independents have secured 90 seats. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz has secured 62 seats. The Pakistan People's Party has secured 51 seats. The MQM has secured 11 seats. The IPP has secured 2 seats. The JUI has secured 2 seats. The PMLQ has secured 2 seats. And there seems to be a problem with NA 265 because on the map it shows that PK map, the Pashtunkhwa Milli Awami Party, has secured the seat, but the corresponding document shows that it's the JUI which is indeed indeed has secured the lead. So that's what the situation is on the ground. We're still awaiting a word from the Election Commission with regards to the completion of the results. They will be showing that as soon as it's completed on this very wall. But essentially, what also we're looking at, adding to what our esteemed guest was talking about, the Election Commission, the law is very clear with regards to the independents. They've got the 72-hour time window. The time is ticking, the clock is ticking, and essentially now they would have three options in the next 72 hours. In fact, less than that, they would either have to join a political party, B, form an independent political party, or C, have their own independent identity in place. That is the key question, because it will be a test for loyalties going forward. Molly?
Indeed, and Anas, you were also getting us updates on that address that was delivered by Nawaz Sharif just a short while back. What exactly was the messaging there? What are you picking up in terms of the reactions as well to that address?
Well, the first reaction to that address is that Asif Ali Zardari has the co-chairperson of the Pakistan People's Party and former president as well, has reached Lahore, and he will be holding a meeting. As per media reports, he will be holding a meeting with Nawaz Sharif, as what Nawaz Sharif had called for in his address, calling for political unity, calling for political consensus. He's asked his brother, who is also the former premier, Nawaz Sharif, with this task to hold meetings with the political leaders to develop a political consensus. So in that part, Asif Ali Zardari has indeed reached Lahore, if the Pakistani media reports are to be believed. And to what I understand, that after this meeting, Asif Zardari will indeed be returning back to Islamabad. It is pertinent to mention that just after the election results were announced, were coming in, and they were yet to be announced last night, Asif Zardari, who was in Nawab Shah in his hometown, had flown to Islamabad, still unknown what for exactly, because his son and daughter, Asifa and Bilawal Bhutto, the front runner for PPP's candidate as the Prime Minister, is still in Larkana. So it would be very interesting to see as to what exactly was the purpose of the former president flying down to Islamabad and now being in Lahore and holding this meeting. What would be the political consensus? Because PPP and the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz don't really have much of a difference. It's just 11 seats, in fact 10 seats, 52 and 62. That's not much of a difference. So in case if the People's Party gets to sway in and lure in the independents on their side, then Bilawal Bhutto Zardari really has a shot of becoming the Prime Minister, the next Prime Minister of the country. Molly?
Right, Anas, who's been tracking those developments from on the ground and has been putting all of this in context for us. Reham, I also have to ask you, now we've seen what unfolded over the last 48 hours. We've seen what happened today. Where do things stand according to you, and what happens tomorrow?
Well, you see, as Anas pointed out, we don't have many hours left, and we also don't have many weeks left, because really the reason we had these elections are because we need to resolve our economic crisis. We've only got 3 weeks left before the current IMF program expires, so we have to make up our mind very quickly. The problem with the Nawaz Sharif group has been that they have been indecisive throughout. The run-up to the elections, the indecisiveness has been clearly now portrayed in the speech also, because we still don't know who would be the front-runner for Prime Minister's role if the Prime Minister comes from the Pakistan Muslim League Noon. Whereas for the Pakistan People's Party, there is only one Prime Ministerial candidate, and they have, through the election, just stopped Bilawal becoming Prime Minister. So at least there's clarity there for their voters and their supporters, and clarity within the party. There doesn't seem to be that kind of clarity. Will it be Nawaz Sharif who will become Prime Minister? Will it be Shahbaz Sharif? And who knows? I mean, there are rumors that even Maryam Nawaz Sharif, at least up until the election campaign, was being sold to us as a Prime Ministerial candidate. So I think these sort of things do cause a lot more confusion. And of course, the ability of two individuals sitting together, as I pointed out, that Bilawal Bhutto is more likely to be sitting happily with Shehbaz Sharif. And I think that Shehbaz Sharif would be the preferred candidate of the so-called establishment also. But the sooner they make up their minds, the better. The reason Asif Ali Zardari is making these meetings is because everyone knows that Asif Ali Zardari is a tactical genius. And I think that he's played his cards right. So he's showing everyone who the boss really is, because bringing Pakistan People's Party as the only winner out of this hodgepodge of election results. Because you see, when you say that these are Imran-backed or PTI-backed candidates, independent candidates, they cannot form a government on their own because they're not a political party, and they are not all long-term party workers also. There are these few new comers as well, the lawyers. So I think that this is going to be extremely difficult for them also to decide where to go.
Right. Who do you think will actually be leading the negotiations from here onwards? Will it actually be the political parties, or to what extent do we see the military actually playing its part behind the scenes? Because let's face it, what we saw unfolding over the last few hours was a surprise for a lot of those who expected and predicted things to unfold otherwise. And like you said, sooner than later is what the expectation among the people on the ground in Pakistan really is. Because let's face it, it's a race against time to actually deal with the real problems on the ground when it comes to the economic crisis particularly.
Yes, but I think that if one thing can be evaluated or taken from the election result is the fact that, A, they were peaceful, particularly in Punjab, where, of course, the decisions for who runs the government in the center and, of course, the most populous province, Punjab, that is in Lahore. So everything happened fairly peacefully here, no reports of any untoward incidents. And also, the other thing which is very clear is that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf backed candidates did get a fair chance of not only polling stations and managing those polling stations. The women from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf have done an absolute brilliant, competent job at these polling stations. And so they were allowed to sort of bring in their candidates or bring in their voters. And the result, I mean, the upsets are in clear sight for everyone, that the establishment's involvement as far as withholding the vote or rigging or the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf being limited is not true, because obviously the result is as clear as day in front of all of us. So I think that even with this coalition government or a hung parliament, whatever the numbers might be and who goes where, this will be left to the political leadership of Pakistan People's Party, Pakistan Muslim League Noon, and the other smaller parties as well. I don't think that there will be any influence. I think the establishment is just going to sit back and enjoy, perhaps with popcorn in their hand. And who is to blame? All of these politicians and leaders of the political parties are to blame, because it's become quite fashionable. You see, Imran has set the trend for becoming a compromising politician, for bringing in all of these coalition partners in. If I take you back to 2018, this is a repeat performance. Again, lots of smaller parties, lots of independents being shuttled away in a private jet. Now that private jet also perhaps is someone else's. And what did we see? We saw 55 plus in Imran's cabinet, and none of them were actually PTI. So I think that's going to be the fate of whoever is in power again.
Okay.
Maybe Pakistan People's Party fare a little bit better because they have a better chance of a coalition government. But either way, whichever party takes the center and whichever party takes Punjab, it's going to be a rough ride for not only the political leadership, but for us, the people who really want some deliverance and some governance and stability.
Right. What I can also tell our viewers is that as we monitor those election results, it's been quite a grueling time for those on the ground. And Anas Malik would be in a better position to tell us what his 48 hours have really looked like with hardly any sleep and hardly any food, because this has been quite an electoral contest, to say the least. But Anas, a quick update from you on the latest in terms of the numbers. You are at the epicenter of all that action. What's the latest that you have for us? Anas, if you can hear me. So as Anas and Rehan were pointing out, the last few hours have been quite an interesting have yielded quite an interesting run-up for a number of reasons. In fact, just a short while back, we had Nawaz Sharif delivering that address. When it comes at a time like this, of course, the entire country and those who have been monitoring these election results have been keeping a close eye on how exactly he would react, remember, because a lot of expectations have been riding on the PMLN. At the same time, we've seen reactions coming in from on the ground. We've also been telling you about what's been going on within the PTI camp. Now, all of this is what's unfolded over the last 24 hours or so. But as Anas was also pointing out, it is a race against time, and it will be a few hours to go before we actually have further clarity on which way things are actually headed. All right, as we continue to monitor the latest coming in from on the ground, we will keep a close eye on the numbers and as and when we have further updates. Thanking our correspondent Anas Malik and also Rehan Khan for being here with us. And just a quick roundup, candidates affiliated with Imran Khan's PTI have secured 88, followed by Nawaz Sharif's PMLN at 43. That is what the numbers look like. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari's PPP having 37. Now, the counting is still not over, remember, even though the numbers giving out a clear lead to the Imran Khan-backed candidates. Nawaz Sharif gave a speech in Lahore. Let's just play out an excerpt for you.
Muslim League Noon is the largest single party in the country today after the elections, और मैं समझता हूं कि हमारा फर्ज है कि इस मुल्क को भंवर से निकाला जाए.
Now, what was supposed to be a victory speech looks more like an admission of the ground reality. In his speech to his supporters, the PMLN leader acknowledges that the party does not have the numbers to form government itself. He also said while he wishes his party had a larger mandate, he will be inviting other party leaders to hold talks for a coalition government. He also said he wants to sit together in harmony with other parties to change Pakistan. And according to the website of the Election Commission of Pakistan, results have been declared in a total of 57 seats so far. Elections, remember, were held for 265 of the 266 seats in the National Assembly. A political party needs 133 seats for a simple majority. So it basically looks like Nawaz Sharif's party, which has won at least 17 seats so far, may form a coalition government with the independent candidates. That's what things might be looking like. According to local media reports, Sharif's aide, Ishaq Dar, has expressed confidence that the PMLN will form the government. He said that his party would concede if any other party emerged as a clear winner. It has been, remember, more than 24 hours since the polls closed, yet we still do not have a clear picture about the winner. What we know for sure, though, is that the elections have sprung a big surprise for everyone. Despite the Pakistan Army-led crackdown on Imran Khan and his political party, the PTI, the independent candidates affiliated with him have taken the lead. But with Imran Khan behind the bars and Nawaz Sharif looking for post-poll alliances, what does this majority mean for the PTI-affiliated candidates? How do they form the government? Theoretically speaking, members of Pakistani parliament are able to form a government regardless of their party affiliation. And in the PTI's case, their affiliated candidates can choose to avoid joining any other party and retain their parliamentary independence. And this could, by the way, potentially allow them to form a government if they cross the threshold required. The threshold, remember, is 134. However, if they choose to go independent still, it could result in an extremely weak government, perpetually vulnerable to the whims of individuals who can actually choose to desert the ruling coalition also. But in case the Imran Khan supporters decide they are willing to join some other party in order to form a government, they must announce their decision within 3 days of the official notification issued by the poll panel. Of course, that would be after the completion of the counting of the votes. And in any case, Nawaz Sharif looks weakened. Clearly, he does not have the numbers that he wanted, and he will now have to stitch up an alliance to form the government. It's not a dream election for anyone. There are no clear winners, perhaps only losers in this hotly contested election. And while Pakistan's leadership is being bitterly contested, in India, all roads lead to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But it's not us saying that. Surveys carried out by Indian media organizations predict clear majority for Narendra Modi's BJP in the upcoming general elections in India. They see a comfortable third term for Prime Minister Modi. This proves Prime Minister Modi remains a popular nationalist leader. The same poll predicting that the opposition bloc will secure 166. This means that the opposition in India does not pose a big challenge to the Modi juggernaut, even after its 10 years in power. In the last election, which took place in 2019, the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance coalition won more than 350 seats. And now top BJP leaders have proclaimed that they are looking at beyond 400 seats in the upcoming elections. This confidence in itself could make it the most decisive victory ever. While the BJP has secured massive gains in the Hindi heartland of India, the states in South India remain a challenge for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Surveys predict regional parties will win in the south. And with an eye on the general election, key leaders from the southern state of Andhra Pradesh have huddled with the BJP. Telugu Desam Party or TDP party chief N. Chandrababu Naidu met with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah and the BJP party chief JP Nadda. The Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, also flew to New Delhi, where he met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Reports say the meeting took place for about 90 minutes. Both these meetings took place within 24 hours of each other. Chief Minister Reddy reportedly discussed special category status for his state. For our global audience here, special category status for Andhra Pradesh has been a long-standing demand of Reddy's party, the YSR Congress party. It has also been a demand of the TDP, whose leader Chandrababu Naidu's meeting with the BJP top brass sparked rumours of his possible return to the NDA. TDP and BJP were partners before. They had a falling out over the same issue. For us, this is not surprising. The two sides have been warming up to each other for quite some time now. It's all thanks to Janasena leader Pawan Kalyan. He has acted as a bridge between the former allies. And so if they can get the BJP to join a TDP-Janasena alliance, it would only grow bigger and make significant gains. And what does the BJP get out of this? It's too soon to say. Analysts say that the BJP is weighing its options right now, but the party has been keen on keeping its options open. Let's face the harsh truth. The BJP is not a political force in the south. In Andhra Pradesh, BJP was routed in the 2019 general election. It failed to win a single seat despite contesting in all 173. And this is why we say the BJP will be weighing its options there. Now, here's why the regional players matter to India's national election. First and foremost, the election in the state of Andhra Pradesh is expected to coincide with the national polls in the summer. And secondly, the opposition party, the Congress, is limited to two states in the south. Naturally, the BJP is now aligning its focus with the south. And it's worth noting that despite the Congress's recent victory in the southern state of Telangana, the BJP's vote share grew, and the outcome of the results there will play heavily on the outcome in the national polls. Of course, talks of alliances are still underway. No decision has been taken as of now. But the takeaway here is this. More and more regional parties seem to be forging closer ties with the BJP. Because ultimately, it is looking like the BJP will win, regardless of which way the voters in the south lean. Let's just move away from the south to the east of India. The mutual praise between Odisha's Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has sparked a lot of speculation of a pre-poll alliance. First, Prime Minister Modi, during his visit to the state last week, called Patnaik his friend. And in response, the Odisha Chief Minister expressed admiration for Prime Minister Modi's leadership. This rare display of bonhomie is fueling the speculation. It's interesting because in 2023, Patnaik had declared his party, the BJD, will not forge any alliances and fight independently in 2024. He was even invited to join the opposition bloc. Patnaik turned it down. And since taking office in 2000, Patnaik has maintained a neutral stance. His party has even supported the BJP in the parliament. Whether he will formally announce a tie-up with the BJP remains to be seen. But what is clear is that the regional parties would rather align with the BJP. And that should not surprise anyone because the opposition is in a state of complete disarray. First, they put on a united front. And now some of the key regional players who had aligned with the Congress to take on the BJP have decided to fight the polls solo. And if that wasn't a setback enough, some of the key players within this bloc have started questioning the Congress leader, Rahul Gandhi. In just a few months from now, India will head to the polls. But the opposition bloc is yet to come up with a seat-sharing deal. In fact, the architect of this opposition alliance and the Chief Minister of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, jumped ships to join the BJP. And this was a major blow to the opposition's unity. And what chances does the Congress have? Mamata Banerjee, a much-wooed heavyweight of the opposition bloc, now believes that the Congress cannot win more than 40 Lok Sabha seats this year. Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi only seems to be bringing down the Congress tally. His ambitious South-North trip in 2023 had not helped the Congress. It was wiped out in the state polls of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It did make it to office in Telangana, but that's not really making it a major challenger for the national elections. And in the absence of a strong opposition in India, therefore, it seems like all roads lead to Prime Minister Modi. On Thursday evening, communal tensions broke out in Haldwani area in the North Indian state of Uttarakhand. Tensions erupted over the demolition of what the authorities described as an illegally built madrasa, which is a type of Muslim educational institution mainly for children. The incident took place in Banbhulpura town of Haldwani, one of the largest cities in the Nainital district. Since Thursday evening, 4 people have died and more than 250 have been injured in the violence. According to the district magistrate, the violence broke out due to confusion. The violence was triggered by an anti-encroachment drive there. The administration was demolishing illegally built buildings that were erected on government lands. And despite the entire process being carried out properly, a large mob within half an hour attacked the municipal cooperation team. According to the senior superintendent of police, a prior notice was sent to the madrasa, which he said was constructed illegally on government land. Plus, the encroachment process began only after a high court order. Still, confusion spread, instigating the mob which fired outside the Banbhulpura police station on Thursday evening. And in response, the police also fired in the air, and the rioters even tried to torch a police station. According to the DM, in fact, the violence seems to be pre-planned and unprovoked.
The stones were stored on the rooftops beforehand. That means it was planned. When our teams continued the demolition drive and the first mob was dispersed, the second mob came and attacked us with petrol bombs.
The administration has now imposed a curfew as well as a shoot-at-sight order to maintain law and order in the town, and internet services have also been suspended. That is, they say, to curb fake news and information. Schools in the area have also been shut until further notice. The deceased have been identified. The local administration is waiting to ascertain whether they died in police firing or in the rioting. The Chief Minister of Uttarakhand also held a meeting with the senior officials to analyze the situation. He also appealed to the people to maintain peace and harmony, directing the officials to take strict action against the culprits. Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin is out. The Russian president sat down with the news anchor for several hours. It began as a history lesson, and then there was some ranting. There were some jokes. There was some snarling. But mostly, Putin had an open stage to take jabs at the United States and spread what the Western media is calling Kremlin's propaganda. And what did Carlson do? Listen mostly and lap up whatever Putin had to say. As the interview started, Putin promised a 30-second history lesson, but it soon became a 30-minute rant. Putin wholeheartedly delivered his thesis that Ukraine is not a sovereign state and that it was just shaped by the will of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. Did Carlson fact-check Putin's fanciful history monologue? Did he even try to divert the talk? No, he simply praised the Russian leader for his encyclopedic knowledge and diligently asked follow-up questions. When Putin was asked if Russia has achieved its war aims, he said no, it hasn't. And why is that? Well, because Putin says he wants to de-Nazify Ukraine, which basically means he wants to oust the current establishment and President Volodymyr Zelensky. When Carlson asked if Russia was satisfied with the territory it has taken, Putin deflected the question and continued to talk about denazification. We'll take it as a no then. But could the war spill to other nations? The one in West Asia has. Does Russia want to do the same is the question. President Putin says he is simply not interested. Listen to this for yourself.
Do you think NATO is worried about this becoming a global war or a nuclear conflict?
At least that's what they're talking about. And they're trying to intimidate their own population with an imaginary Russian threat. This is an obvious fact. And thinking people, not Philistines, but thinking people, analysts, those who are engaged in real politics, just smart people understand perfectly well that this is a fake. They're trying to fuel the Russian threat.
The threat I think you're referring to is a Russian invasion of Poland, Latvia, expansionist behavior. Can you imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland?
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat-mongering.
And then came the jabs at the United States. Putin asked America to focus on its own issues instead of the war. Listen to this.
Well, if somebody has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory. Don't you have anything better to do? You have issues on the border, issues with migration, issues with the national debt, more than $33 trillion. You have nothing better to do, so you should fight in Ukraine? Wouldn't it be better to negotiate with Russia?
Well, you heard it. The Russian president wants the US to stop funding Ukraine and come to the negotiation table.
We hear all the time, is Russia ready? Yes, we have not refused. It was them who publicly refused.
I think you're saying you want a negotiated settlement to what's happening in Ukraine.
Right. And we made it. We prepared a huge document in Istanbul that was initialed by the head of the Ukrainian delegation. He affixed his signature to some of the provisions, not to all of it. He put his signature and then he himself said, we were ready to sign it and the war would have been over long ago, 18 months ago. However, Prime Minister Johnson came, talked us out of it, and we missed that chance.
You see, once again, Putin put the blame on Boris Johnson for a failed peace deal. Moscow has aired these claims earlier as well, of course, but the former British Prime Minister dismissed them as total nonsense and Russian propaganda. Speaking of which, Carlson's entire interview is being considered as a win for the Kremlin's propagandists. In fact, critics say Putin got a free pass to speak his mind without being challenged, without any filter, without facing any pointed questions, they say. And that cannot really be denied. Anyone who can dent Putin's armor is kept miles away from him. Those who do get to speak to him are always handpicked by Moscow. And Carlson was no exception. The interview failed to extract anything that wasn't already known, and Putin got an opportunity to grill the West. So who do you think is the winner here? And while we have been so focused on COVID-19 and its several variants, there is a forgotten epidemic raging through Europe. And this one, by the way, does not even have any specific treatment. I am talking about measles. It is spreading like wildfire. Several European nations have declared national emergencies. The World Health Organization has also raised alarm. Just this week, an adult died in a hospital in Ireland after contracting measles. This was the first confirmed case in the country this year, and it ended in a death. Last year, some 42,200 people were infected with measles. A year before that, the figure was 942. It was a 45-fold increase, that is over 4,500%. This is a kind of spike that looks implausible in headlines, but it very much happened. While most of the cases were in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Russia, there was also a vicious surge in the UK. In just one of England's 9 regions, 260 cases have been confirmed. Dozens more are suspected. In just one region, England as a whole confirmed just 2 cases in 2021. And the jump in the cases is astounding. You know what? While there is a lot of alarm and scare, virologists are not even surprised. They saw this coming, all thanks to a sustained decline in vaccination rates. But we'll get to that in a bit. To understand the outbreak, let's first understand the disease itself. Measles is a highly contagious disease. It is caused by a virus. It spreads easily when an infected person breathes, coughs, or sneezes. It can cause severe health complications and even death. Symptoms usually begin 10 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. A prominent rash is the most visible symptom. Measles first infects the respiratory tract and then spreads throughout the body. The symptoms include high fever, cough, a runny nose, and rash all over the body. Most deaths from measles are caused by complications related to the disease, and this includes blindness, diarrhea, dehydration, ear infections, breathing problems, including pneumonia. These complications are most common in children under 5 years and adults over the age of 30. But the worst part is there is no specific treatment for measles. You have to let the virus run its course. Caregivers can only focus on relieving the symptoms, making the person comfortable and preventing any complications. The best way out is to get vaccinated beforehand. The vaccine is safe and helps your body fight off the virus. I'm not the one saying that, the WHO is. The numbers, in fact, speak for themselves. Between 2000 and 2021, measles vaccination averted 56 million deaths. Despite that, measles vaccination rates are plummeting. Even though a safe and cost-effective vaccine is available, there were an estimated 128,000 measles deaths globally in the year 2021. And they were mostly among unvaccinated or under-vaccinated children under the age of 5 years. In 2022, about 83% of the world's children received only one dose of measles vaccine by their first birthday. This was the lowest since the year 2008. So what does all of this tell us? As far as Europe is concerned, the vaccination rates for the first dose slipped from 96% in 2019 to 93% in 2022. For the second dose, it fell from 92% to 91% over the same period. The drop seems small, but it means more than 1.8 million children in Europe missed measles vaccines during those 2 years. And that can make all the difference, you see. Well, what else do people expect? The WHO has warned that even countries that have achieved measles elimination status are at the risk of large outbreaks. So what chance do the under-vaccinated nations stand? Of course, there are going to be alarming outbreaks. And with the post-pandemic travel boom, of course, such an infectious disease can spread to other parts of the world. But as long as you are vaccinated, you are relatively safe. If you are a dog parent, I don't need to tell you this. They are your trusted partners. They stick by you through thick and thin. Man's best friend, as they are called. They are, in fact, synonymous with loyalty, and this loyalty extends beyond life. I'm about to tell you the story of a canine who is winning hearts for the exemplary show of loyalty and dedication towards his owner. This is an extraordinary story. Let me warn you, keep some tissues handy. The story comes from Himachal Pradesh in India. The protagonist is a German shepherd called Alpha. In snow-laden Himachal Pradesh, Alpha ended up guarding the bodies of its owner and the owner's friend for 48 hours. You heard that right. For 2 days, this champion protected the bodies. This was after an unfortunate fall allegedly led to the deaths of Alpha's owner, Abhinandan Gupta, and Abhinandan's friend. But you see, Alpha did not budge, standing guard despite the harsh, challenging weather conditions, staying vigilant for over 48 hours till the search and rescue team reached the site. This, by the way, was at a height of over 9,000 feet. This was all the more important because this area is home to wild predators. But Alpha ensured that the bodies were protected and safe from that threat. In fact, as per the police, the bodies even bore marks of attack by wild animals. The operation started after Abhinandan's brother-in-law made a distress phone call. According to the police, the rescue team heard Alpha's barks and then found the bodies. This story gave me goosebumps. It's a chilling reminder of how fortunate we really are as human beings to have dogs or loyal pets in our lives. Just look at the commitment, the love, the dedication, the bravery that Alpha displayed. Despite the odds, Alpha stood guard, protecting the bodies, till help arrived. Tonight, we salute Alpha and all the loyal champions out there who would go to any length to protect human beings. Just imagine what Alpha went through, but he did not budge. It could have taken longer for help to reach, given the altitude and the harsh conditions, the dangerous terrain, but Alpha did not give up. And his story serves as a reminder to all of us to be grateful for having such champions in our lives. Hats off to them. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good weekend.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
This week on Tech It Out, we get you highlights from the recently concluded World Defense Show that took place in Riyadh. Meet an astronaut who has set a new record for the most time in space. And we tell you about a major breakthrough in the brain implant technology. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
This week on This World, we take you through all the drama around the elections in Pakistan.
People have come out in large numbers. They have expressed their decision, which is, I think, a very fair outcome of the election.
And we also take you to the elections in the United States, what the Supreme Court is actually feeling or thinking about the claims that Donald Trump should be disqualified from standing for election. That and Joe Biden's memory issues.
Joe Biden has been very open about the fact that he's struggled throughout his life with a stutter, with a speech impediment.
All of that this week on This World.
As chatter surrounding the carbon footprint of celebrities takes over social media, we look at big names who have come under fire for luxury travel. We decode the most popular Super Bowl halftime shows so far, and we share a special list of binge-worthy romantic comedies ahead of Valentine's Day. All this and more with me, Alison Lagrange, at these times only on WION E-Club.
In 1979, two batchmates from CMTI teamed up with their mentor to create a small engineering design bureau.
We could conceive machines from first principles. And that's where we got the confidence that can we start a consulting company where we do design for others. We have got an opportunity to make special machines for a company called Car Mobiles Limited. Once we started showing the exhibition, other auto component companies started coming to us. We realized that if you want to learn anything, buy the best book on the subject, study the fundamentals, and apply it in your context.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
I'm Vikram Chandra and join me on WION with 2 weekly shows that will keep you informed. This World, a show that wraps the world's biggest global stories and brings you up close with the biggest newsmakers. This World is coming to you from London. From in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. From one of the most magical sites that I think I have ever been at.
It's completely feasible for India to become one of the world leaders in AI within the next decade or so.
The search for life in the universe is one of the greatest quests of all time.
And a show that aims to bring the India story to the world. We help you understand global developments from an Indian perspective.
We are developing the road infrastructure. In the end of 24, it will be equivalent to the road infrastructure of USA.
We have put up airports which were obliterated from the civil aviation map almost 50 years ago.
जो भी मेरे competitors हैं, उनके साथ हमारा सभी का आपस में अच्छा relation भी है. हम एक दूसरे को हमेशा push करते हैं अंदर खेलते टाइम भी.
I'm Vikram Chandra and this is WION. World is one, taking India's voice to the world.
This week on the West Asia Post, 4 months on, the destruction of Gaza and its people continues. Netanyahu shoots down Hamas's ceasefire proposal. What was the 3-stage truce deal? And amid the rubble of Gaza's schools and universities is a genius child scientist. All this and more.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is one.
On the next episode of World of Africa, Senegalese President Macky Sall throws the nation into a constitutional conundrum as he postpones planned February 25th presidential election. Some opposition and civil society groups say the move amounts to an institutional coup. Firefighters battle wildfires sweeping along coastal towns in South Africa's Western Cape. The region's environmental minister says the fire was not under control, but the evacuations have helped avoid loss of life. And the Grammy Awards trophy for Best African Music Performance reflects the growing popularity of Afrobeats and other music from the continent, which is gaining a global audience with the help of social media platforms such as TikTok. World of Africa, at these times, only on WION. World is one. I'm Vikram Chandra and join me on WION with 2 weekly shows that will keep you informed. This World, a show that wraps the world's biggest global stories and brings you up close with the biggest newsmakers. This World is coming to you from London. From in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. From one of the most magical sites that I think I have ever been at.
It's completely feasible for India to become one of the world leaders in AI within the next decade or so.
The search for life in the universe is one of the greatest quests of all time.
And a show that aims to bring the India story to the world. We help you understand global developments from an Indian perspective.
We are developing the road infrastructure. In the end of 24, it will be equivalent to the road infrastructure of USA.
We have put up airports which were obliterated from the civil aviation map almost 50 years ago.
जो भी मेरे competitors हैं उनके साथ हमारा सभी का आपस में एक अच्छा रिलेशन भी है हम एक दूसरे को हमेशा पुश करते हैं अंदर खेलते टाइम भी
I'm Vikram Chandra and this is WION World is One, taking India's voice to the world.
Vielleicht nur als